I would like to introduce Pam Matherne. Pam is a local resident from Manti, and she is the owner and founder of Lovey's Dog Grooming. Lovey's Dog Grooming won the SBDC Business of the Year in 2020, I believe. So this is a really big deal. At the time, Pam was working at a local goat farm and quickly learned that she wanted to run her own business. Her love for animals and enjoyment seeing them healthy and happy gave her the determination to buy a herd of goats and a small farm to raise them on. She then successfully found a market for selling them. With this venture, the entrepreneurship bug stuck, and Pam opened a second business, which is Lovey's Dog Grooming in Manti. She acquired the skills through experience and now has the opportunity to use it in her own business. These ventures did not come easy to Pam, but she's not afraid of hard work or furthering her knowledge and education. And she's taken classes here at Snow College and at Utah State to increase her skill level. So please welcome Pam Matherne.
Hey guys, so I'm Pam Matherne, as he told you, and I own Lovey's Grooming. I don't just groom dogs though, I groom many, many, many things. I first started out at 6 years old, as you can see, for a love of animals. I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and my best friend was a goat. And so the goat would play with me on the slide, they would come and try to go in the house with me, jump on the car all the time. So I had a little three-wheeler, and I would take it for rides on the three-wheeler. So that's how I started with my love of animals, and it just kind of built and built and built from there. My other love for animals is I actually have a pet fox. So how I want to tell you is whatever your passion is what you should try to do in your business. Whether it be animals, whether it be politics, whether it be mowing somebody's lawn, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you love to do is what you should concentrate on doing your business in. There's always a way to make your ideas succeed. And by the way, her name, anybody want to guess? Have you guys seen Dora the Explorer? Her name is Swiper. And she steals stuff all the time.
Swiper, no swiping.
Nice, exactly. Yeah. So about me, gosh, when I had some troubled childhood, and then I had a couple abusive relationships. And I didn't really realize all that until later on in life. I just kind of went with it. And that made me feel like I just wasn't good enough. I couldn't succeed in what I wanted to succeed because I felt like I had no confidence, pretty much. I did end up getting out of those relationships, and then I ended up getting in trouble with the law. So I did go to jail for a while. And while I was in jail, they had so many of these programs, and I started taking advantage of these programs. I got my GED, and I took a lot of self-worth classes. I took a lot of counseling classes. And it just kind of helped me realize that once I got out, I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to enjoy the rest of my life and do something I enjoyed, which was animals. So that's where I made the decision to go back to college at the age of 40. So I actually started here at Snow College. My first year was terrible. Every day I was crying, every day I wanted to just quit. And it was difficult at 40 years old being around a bunch of younger kids as well, because I thought you guys would judge me. But come to find out, I have some really good college friends that I still am in contact with that are 20 years younger than me. So it really worked out really good. It took me 8 years to graduate with my bachelor's degree, so I did almost about 4.5 years here. And then it took me about another 3.5 years at USU. So I just had to go a little bit slower than everybody else, but that was okay. I still got it done. My idea of going back to school at age 40 was the first thing I started thinking was, oh my gosh, this is such a stupid idea. Why am I even thinking about doing this? And then there's no way that I can finish this. Even in my second and third year, I would have nights that I'm like, there's just no way. I just give up. I'm done. I just can't do it. And I would call my sister, I'd call my friend, and call my counselor, I'd call everybody and just tell them I'm just done. Can't do it. But actually you can do it. So in 2018, these were my grades. So they weren't great, but I was pretty proud of them. So especially for like stats and econ and accounting, where I was so lost when I first started doing this. And the biggest way that I helped get these grades was by asking for help. So I went to my teachers, I went to tutoring sessions, I went to whatever I could go to, any kind of extra classes that I could do, I would do them. And everybody was able to walk me through step by step by step. And YouTube was my best friend too. So I used that a lot. The biggest thing is the Snow College does have an excellent counseling center. I started going to counseling a year after I started the college, and my counselor at the time was Yasmin. And she helped me get through so many things, so many doubts, so many feelings of not being good enough, feelings of just basically can't do it. And then she also introduced me to other students. She introduced me to other teachers. She introduced me to, she helped me put down my ideas and thoughts on paper. And that's where I kind of started going, hey, wait a second, maybe I can do this. So also there's the testing center. I don't know if you guys know, but I have really bad test anxiety. And so the testing center, if you go over there and you talk to them, they can set you up, they can give you extra time to take a test. You don't have to go to the testing center, you can actually do a test in a different area. Are they still doing that here? Yeah. And so that helped me a lot too, because I could have a little bit more one-on-one testing, a little bit more time to take a test. I actually had one of my math teachers that was allowed to go into the testing center with me and read the questions to me, so I could understand them the way that I needed to understand them, not the way that everybody else was taught. So make sure you use those resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help, ever. They're not gonna think you're stupid, they're not gonna think that you just don't know how to do it, that you're lazy. They'll help you. So this first thing I started was my goat farm. So this is my little goat here, Jovi, and she likes to stick her tongue out at everybody. She was, let's see, when she was born, she weighed like 6 ounces. So she was a tiny little preemie. And so with the knowledge of all the classes and everything that I took, because I actually have my bachelor's degree in agriculture business and animal science. And so it kind of gave me I almost feel like a vet in a way, without having to take 8 years of school, which is kind of nice. So, but anyways, I ended up buying some more goats. Then I ended up selling milk. Then I ended up selling goat's meat a little bit, which kind of made me cry, so I got out of that because I just couldn't handle it. And so basically, I made my hobby and my love of animals start making me money. And then I ended up getting a grant with the help of somebody else here at Snow College, and I was able to buy even more goats. And so I got to the point where I had a farm, I had fencing, I got grants to build a big barn with hay, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love being able to work with my animals every day, get up in the morning, go out there, work with my animals, and know that they're actually making me some money, which most people don't. Like, how many people have dogs that make you money? Cats? Your dog makes you money? Perfect. That's a good thing then. So you want to make sure that your animals or your passion, whatever it may be, can make you money. So here's a picture of Tim. He's my superhero. So he's in the Small Business Development Center, as he was introduced earlier. So Tim, and they don't give you the answers. But if you go over there and you have questions, you have ideas, you're not even quite sure where to start. He'll actually get you to that starting point and show you what resources they are, help you fill out information. He taught me how to fill out grants. And so I ended up, at the point that I'm at now, I got a grant for the farm, I got a grant for Lovey's Grooming, and it's free money. So why not? Why not take advantage of it? He taught me how to do like a business plan. So my very first loan that I got to open Lovey's Grooming, I was ready to go. I walked in the door and the bank was like, wow, okay, you're ready. So we'll go ahead and give it to you. And my credit wasn't that great, but because I had all my business planning together, my ideas that I wanted, the equipment that I wanted to buy, a building that I wanted to rent, I had everything down on paper, the bank was like, yeah, no problem. And I paid it back the first, like 8 months, I think. So it was kind of nice. So always go to Tim, he's good. Okay, so starting Lovey's Grooming, I wanted to do something with animals, and so I got a job grooming with somebody else so they could teach me how to do it. I wasn't sure that I wanted to groom animals, but after doing it for a while, I had such love with them. Like, if you go to work every morning and you get a dog that licks you across the face to say hi, I mean, that's such a great day. It just makes your day. You can have the worst night ever and you go to work the next morning and you're happy. You're just happy. So even when they poop on your table, it's okay. Not a big deal. So I did find I had to do a lot of marketing and research, which Tim did help me with, kind of try to find out like how many people in this area has animals, like where should I advertise? Should I advertise with people at the age of 20? Should I advertise for the college kids? Should I advertise for, adults? Should I advertise for the older people? So I had to do what they call a demographic research. And so that kind of helped me gear where I wanted to start my advertising, my marketing. So I actually did, I think I did 50 and older to start off with. And then after that, I went down to 40 and older, and now it's just kind of all over the place. So I actually have ads on Mid-Utah Radio. I don't know if you guys have ever heard them, but they are all over the place. They're on pretty much each station that they own. And of course, I have to have a little goat in there going, bah! So the biggest thing when you start a business is you need to start small. So I started with 2 groomers, myself and somebody else. And I had 2 tables and a tiny little tub that was really kind of hard to do any big dogs with. But then the first month I made a little bit of money, I got the loan, and so whatever money I did make, I put back into it. So I bought me a bigger tub, I bought me more tables, I got more equipment, I got easier equipment to make my life easier, to make the dog's life easier. I started advertising more, just on and on and on. And every time I would make money, I would put it back in. I didn't actually start making profit until last year. So it's just barely profit, not a whole lot. But I do get to buy more goats, so that's the most important thing. So. So one of the things that you do need to make sure when you do start your business, though, is make sure that you get the licensing that you're going to need correct. Make sure that you have a tax person, like a tax accountant, because if you don't do your taxes right, the first year I didn't do my taxes right, they were going to fine me big time. But I pled the I didn't know, I'm sorry thing, and I was able to get it fixed. But that's a big thing is the taxes, because they don't care who you are, how much money you have, they don't care. If you don't have your taxes set right, they will come get you, for sure. So that's a big priority. The other thing is just making sure that you try to keep everything organized. I have a really, really hard time keeping organized. My mind's kind of like all over the place. I'd rather be in the back working with dogs than filing paperwork up front. So I actually ended up finally hiring me an office manager. because I hated it so much that I would just let things pile up and pile up and pile up and not get them. Until again, I got another fine from Utah State. Then I decided, okay, it's time that I get this together and try to figure it out. So that's my biggest thing. The benefits of having your own business is I get to make my own hours. Like today, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. See you guys. So it's kind of nice being able to make your own hours, but then again, it's kind of not, because you're always on call. You're always working. It's nice being your own boss. It's kind of nice being able to tell other people what to do and having them actually listen to you. And then you can make changes, like if it's your own business, and say like you want to do all big dogs one day, or you want to do all big fields if you're doing like landscaping, or you get to make that decision. You're the one that gets to decide what you want to do that day. And then you just make your plan of your other employees be able to follow what you want them to do. The biggest thing that I've noticed is having my own business is I have made so many friends. And some of them, yeah, they do want to take advantage of you, but the majority of the people want to be interested. They're interested in what you can do and how you did it, and they're just friendly people. So it's kind of nice having that many connections in town. Like in Manti, if you go to Manti and you go to the gas station, you say, is there a Pam? And they'll go, Matherne, Lovey's Grooming, the goat lady, right down the street. So everybody there knows who I am, which is sometimes a bad thing, but it works out. The challenges, so many challenges. Hiring the right people. Hiring the right people, I think, was my biggest challenge, because you can hire somebody, they'll walk in, they seem really great, 2 days later, they're not working out. So, and I have such a soft heart that I have a hard time saying, you're not gonna work out, so I give a lot of people a lot of chances, probably that shouldn't really deserve them, but I do it anyways. But then again, sometimes it really works out because I've got a couple employees that they're not the fastest employees, they're not the best at grooming, but if I needed them to be there, they're there. And that's kind of what I have, a mixture of people. So I have some that I can count on every day, some that can actually do it really fast, some that, can help out other people. So it just kind of works out. Some that I can leave in charge of the shop, like today. So that kind of helps. Slow times of the year. August. August is a slow time of the year. You guys are going back to school. You're ending vacations. August is super slow. And then January is super slow. Everybody got finished spending a lot of money on Christmas. So whatever business that you do, you've got to make sure you know when your off times are going to be, and make sure you have enough money set aside for those off times. So you can still do payroll, or you can take a vacation, or whatever it is you want to do. But make sure that you kind of have a big plan. So not just a business plan, but you want to have an overall plan. So like a 365-day-a-year plan, which is kind of nice. Again, taxes, that's my worst one. Taxes get me. So they're difficult. I don't understand them. I don't want to understand them. So I finally, again, I hired me a tax accountant person, and I just give them all my stuff once a year and say, here you go. Let me know how much I owe you. And that way, if there's a mistake that's made, it's not my fault. It's my accountant's fault, so it makes it kind of nice. The other thing is, like, at first, you're never going to have a day off. Even now, when I take a day off, like I left today at, 11 o'clock? And just driving over here, I got 3 text messages from my employees. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? And it's like, dude, just do it. Just get it done. I'll chew you out later if you did it wrong. So that's the one thing that's not so much fun. There is a lot of costs into it that you don't really realize. I think when I first started doing even like the goats and things like that, I didn't realize how much money I was going to spend on advertising. I think advertising is my biggest expense, and then payroll, of course. But with the advertising, you've got to do some research. Again, like I was telling you, you've got to research, like, who's going to buy your product? what can you supply to this community? So like say for example, do you play sports? Okay, so what if you wanted to sell something to sports-wise? Would you want to do that here in Mount High? Or would you want to do that in maybe California where there's a lot more sports people? There you go. So you got to kind of think of ideas like that. Where is your product going to make the best, do the best? Buying equipment was expensive. The tub that I have is $4,000. But that tub goes all the way down to the ground and then all the way back up. It's all hydraulic. And so now I can do big, huge dogs. I can do dogs with disabilities. I have dogs that I do with 3 legs. I do goats. I do cats. See, I've done a bird, a lizard, a skunk, a fox. What's some of the other ones that I've done? Oh, a turkey. I did a turkey the other day. Yeah, that was really different. But when they had the fair, somebody wasn't able to get their turkey cleaned up the way that they wanted it, and so they took it over to me, and I bathed the turkey and dried it. It was really crazy, but it was kind of fun too. Payroll is another really big expense. You can't, like, you want to start everybody out at minimum wage, but nobody can live on minimum wage. Can you guys live on minimum wage? I mean, just even going to college here, you just can't do it. So you have to find that fine balance. So you got to find the balance where you can pay somebody a decent wage, but yet you can still make money on your product. So whether that be that, you have to increase your product's price, or, maybe you have to do more work yourself because you can't really afford to have somebody that knows what they're doing. So the biggest thing that, like I said, was that accounting. I refused to do it, so I paid somebody good money to do it. Licenses, always make sure you get your licenses. Just check out, find out for sure what you need. I know the IRS is really hard to get a hold of, but if you go get a hold of Tim, he'll research it for you. So he'll help you figure out kind of what you need. He's got some other resources. Christine's still doing her stuff there too. And then some of the other people here that understand like the payroll taxes and things like that. And it doesn't hurt to ask questions always. You're better to ask first rather than assuming and then getting yourself in trouble. So there's some photos of Lovey's grooming. So that is a goat. Actually not one of my goats, it's one of my customers' goats. And then one of our beautiful dogs. So we do roughly 25 dogs or cats a day. And I have, let's see, I checked the customer database the other day. I have almost 1,900 customers now. And that's just in the San Pete area. So you build up over time. And you're gonna have some customers that get mad at you for whatever reason, want to go someplace else, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. So all you can do is just, do your best. And I care more about making sure that animal is going to be okay than I care about making sure that the customer is going to be happy, which is kind of bad on my part. But I want to make sure that pet is doing well. And then it shows. When somebody comes into the shop and the dog walks right up to me and starts wagging its tail, and they're like, oh my gosh, my dog is just so happy to be here. And it's like, I'm happy your dog's here. And it just really makes a difference. It makes the customer smile. It makes them feel like their pet is my pet, which really makes a big difference. So if you treat like any job, like you said, you did the sports stuff, right? So if you're so passionate about those sports and your customers see that you're passionate about those sports, they're going to go to you before they go to whoever else that does whatever. So they might do sports too, but they're not as passionate as you are. So anyhow, that is a photo of my bachelor's degree that I'm super proud of. So I got that at age 48. Yeah, or 48. So you guys have any questions? Okay, we're going to make you guys have questions. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I want everybody to get to their partner, one side or the other, and come up with at least a few questions that you guys can ask me. So I'll give you about a minute. Ready? With a Superman. You're my Superman. Yeah. We tried out. I like your shoes. Got it figured out. I've got somebody that has a question over here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I was going to ask, are there any animals you wouldn't groom? Like if I brought an American honey badger?
You know, I know the vet really well, and so I'd probably go ahead and do him after we gave him a shot in the butt. Okay, go ahead. Uh-huh.
How many licenses do you have?
So I have, let's see, I have a certified grooming license. I have a dog, mostly like association certificates, and then I have my business license. And then you also have to have like, in order to be able to do your taxes at first, I had to go get a license for that, but I don't worry about that anymore. So, go ahead.
A follow-up question is like, shoot, I forgot it.
That's okay. Go ahead.
How did you live in Stampede?
So I ended up looking up the cheapest colleges that I could find, believe it or not, because I could not afford to go to school. So I did end up getting some grants, but that's how I ended up in Stampede. I was actually originally from Ogden, Plain City, Ogden. Then I lived in Nevada for a while, and then Delta. And so after my little stint in Delta, then I decided that I wanted to go back to college, and this was something I could afford. So, yep, go ahead.
How did you do advertising, or how did you research it to know which sources to use, social media?
So there's actually a demographic website that you can actually use. And so, and then Tim can also help you like get a hold of some people. There's a guy in Salt Lake that I was able to get a hold of, and he kind of helped me run through, and like they was able to like look up all the pet licensing that everybody has. So Manti City pet licensing that they have. They talked with the vets. So I was able to kind of find out like what kind of average people at the vets bring in their animals, stuff like that. So the advertising was, my main advertising that I do was social media at first. And then in this area, to get a hold of the older crowd, it's radio. So, okay, go ahead.
What made competitors want to, and what made clients want to be rather than this?
So, you know, at first, they didn't. So at first, you know, I was kind of standing out on the street with a sign out there, please come bring your dog in here or I'll groom it for free. Literally, I actually had a sign out on the street. It was just word of mouth, mainly. And I had been working for another grooming place that was here in St. Pete. And so when they closed down shop, a lot of the customers knew that I was going to be opening up my own shop. But the biggest thing is word of mouth. If you treat somebody's animal good and you try to treat the customer well, then they'll go tell Paul, and then Paul will tell Sally, and then Sally will tell Joe. And especially in this small little town, it just word spins crazily. Okay, go ahead.
How long did it take you to do all of your research and then get the business off the ground?
Gosh. I would say probably a good year. Yeah, I would say it was about I mean, I'd been thinking about it for a long time, but actually to do all the information and get all the funds and all that stuff, it was about a year. So, go ahead.
What key feature caused your company to grow? Like, did it grow in incline or did it grow in like jumps? Like
So,
steps? What was the key feature that made it grow the fastest?
So I think it grew actually quite quickly. So I went from having, you know, maybe 20, 30 customers up to like, I don't know, probably, I would say, I think the first year I was at 500. So I think, again, it was just kind of like the word of mouth, and I think the way that I was advertising, like I was posting pictures of dogs that we did on Facebook daily. I didn't know anything about Instagram. I learned how to do Instagram, Snapchat, all those things, and I would just constantly post like fun little things, like a dog, you know, licking my face, or, you know, just a dog getting groomed, or just us having fun at the shop. I did like group pictures of people. So I think the main thing was just posting and posting and posting and posting. That's how I got a lot of people's attention. I think right now, see, I have 1,900 customers, but on Facebook, I've got like, I think it's 8,700 and something followers. So we got quite a few, so go ahead.
How much money did it take you to get your business off the ground?
2,000. So actually it wasn't as expensive as you would think. So my business loan that I got was 2,000. And then, but I guess it would probably be a lot more costly if you think about it, because I wasn't working, that was my job. So I wasn't making any money. So I needed to have a little bit of extra savings to get me by for at least a year. So, okay, go ahead.
How did you decide on where to put your business?
Honestly, where the rent was the cheapest. So I looked in Ephraim, I looked in Mount Pleasant, I looked in a couple other places. There were some places that I really liked, but I met the landlord, and they were, they weren't real nice. And so I just knew that I didn't want to go there. Even though the rent was cheaper, I just didn't want to have to deal with a place like that and get set up and then end up having to move out, so, okay.
What was your background in marketing before you like started this? Did you have like go to classes or anything for it, or did you just like, it was like trial and error?
Trial and error. So I did do some classes, like Tim and them offered classes that I could take, and I took advantage of every single class I could. I was calling him saying, hey, do you have any more classes I can take? Because it's just a matter of like the website design. I had no idea what to do with a website, and I took a class on how to design the website. My website, when I first put it up, wasn't the greatest, but I had a website up. And so after, you know, it took me about a year, then I was actually able to hire somebody to make my website really good. So you can take a lot of free classes through Snow College. There's a lot of grants that you can actually take that'll give you schooling. And then is it your fast track or the custom fit class? So if you find a class that you want to take, so like mine is geared towards dog grooming, so I took some classes geared towards dog grooming. I told these guys what I was going to do. The class cost me $500. They paid $250 of it for me. So if you find classes that you are interested in, they'll help you take advantage of those classes. Okay, go ahead.
Have you ever thought of franchising, like making another one, or are you good with like just one for now?
Actually, last month I franchised. So we actually have a new shop that started August 1st in Gunnison. So it was a big jump. It was a little scary. I didn't really have to put much money into it, but my name is out there, and so we do have people going to them just because of the name, Lovey's Grooming. So, and that brings me to another point too. The reason my business is called Lovey's Grooming is because at 8 years old, I got a dog, and at 8 years old, I named it Lovey. And so I decided if I was ever going to open a business, I was going to call it Lovey's. So, okay, any more questions? Okay, go ahead.
What kind of business license do you have? Is there an LLC and a corporation?
Okay, so I have an LLC S Corp. So that way I can get a lot of business help and with a lot of business financing. I can apply for a lot of grants. But I am still to the point where if somebody wants to sue me over something, they're suing the company and not me personally.
So is it like a dual license?
It's not really a dual license, it's just kind of, it's an LLC, and then you just add on a corporation, like an S Corp or an L Corp or C Corp or whatnot, so. Okay, anything else? I think we're pretty much done, right?
I think so.
Okay, and I guess you guys are, somebody's taking me to lunch, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.